Right now, somewhere within arm's reach of you, there's a machine running an operating system. Your phone, your laptop, the servers loading this very video, and almost all of them share one common ancestor. A system that two men at a phone company wrote, in part so that one of them could keep playing a video game. That is not a joke. That is the literal origin of modern computing, and I want to argue that the usual way we tell this story is wrong. The popular version goes like this. Two geniuses, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie, invented Unix and the C language and basically built the world we live in. All of that is true, but it misses the real engine. Unix did not conquer the planet because it was brilliant. It conquered the planet because of an accident of antitrust law. Let me back up. In the late 1960s, Bell Labs was part of a giant project called Multics, an ambitious operating system that was running late and growing complicated. In 1969, Bell Labs pulled out. Ken Thompson, one of the researchers left behind, had written a game called Space Travel that simulated flying through the solar system. He wanted to keep playing it, so he found a cast-off DEC PDP-7, a small computer almost nobody was using, and he started writing. What he built on that scavenged machine, almost as a side effect of wanting his game, was the first version of Unix. The name itself was a joke. A colleague, Brian Kernighan, is credited with the pun. Multics was multiplexed and complex. This new thing was single, simple, stripped down, so they called it Unix, which later became Unix. Sit with that for a second. The foundation of modern software began as a tool one researcher built so he would have something to run his code on. Then Dennis Ritchie enters. Thompson had a small language called B. Ritchie grew it into something more powerful, a language he named C, which descended from B and from an earlier language called BCPL. By around 1973, they did something almost nobody did at the time. They rewrote the operating system itself, in C. This is the move. This is the whole story, really. Before this, an operating system was welded to one specific machine, written in that machine's own assembly language. Rewriting Unix in C meant that to move it to a new computer, you mostly just rewrote the C compiler, not the entire system. Unix became portable. It could travel between machines that shared nothing in common. And in computing, the thing that travels wins. Not the cleverest system, not the fastest, the one that shows up everywhere. Now here is the antitrust accident I promised you. Back in 1956, AT&T, which owned Bell Labs, had signed a consent decree with the United States government. To settle an antitrust case, AT&T agreed to stay out of the computer business. It was a telephone company. It was legally barred from selling software for profit. So when universities came asking for Unix, AT&T could not turn it into a product. Instead, it licensed Unix to schools for almost nothing, with no support and no promises. And that, not the pure brilliance, is what spread it everywhere. A product would have stayed locked behind a price and a sales team. A giveaway went anywhere a curious student could carry a tape. Think about what that did. A whole generation of computer science students learned operating systems on the actual source code of Unix. They read it, they changed it. At Berkeley, they built their own version, BSD, which fed back improvements that helped shape the internet. The students who grew up inside that code went out and rebuilt the industry in its image. In 1978, Kernighan and Ritchie published a thin book called The C Programming Language. It taught the language to millions and became one of the most influential programming books ever written. In 1983, Thompson and Ritchie shared the Turing Award, computing's highest honor. So yes, they were brilliant, but brilliance is common. What was rare was the constraint. A law that said you cannot sell this forced the most generous distribution strategy in software history. The handcuffs were the launch plan. And the real lesson is the one Ritchie's C taught the machines. A small thing, written once, can spread to places its makers never imagined. This channel runs on that same idea. So if you learned something today, write it once into the algorithm. Hit that like button and subscribe, and let this little thing travel onward to the next person who needs it.